Welcome back to The Merge. My name is Susette Valdez, the proud wife of Gio, who you guys are used to seeing over here doing the interviews and hosting these. But today I have my friend Alison with us. Just before we get started and have her share about who she is, I just want to give you guys a little bit, for those of you that are new, about what The Merge is. And it's basically just a platform for people from different walks of life to come together and share about what they're doing. We all feel that we're called to a certain purpose, whether it's in your community, in the world, in your day-to-day life. But we want to be able to come together, encourage them, empower them, and work together to just make it better as a whole. So we want Alison to share a little bit about who she is, what she's doing. We've known each other for a few years. I don't even know anymore.
I think it's something like 5 years.
Right? Time flies, but we've been through different seasons. We've seen each other through some good times, some tough times, but it's definitely always been fun. So as we get started, why don't you share a little bit about what you're doing, who you are, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
Of course. So just wanted to say thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's really exciting. Like they mentioned, my name is Alison, and I do a little bit of kind of a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And so I do have a business, Sequoia Baking Co., and it's the first of its kind. I like to think. I've done a lot of research and I can't find anything like it. But essentially, it's just a cinnamon roll shop. And so I deliver on the weekends. I do have a full-time job, so that only operates right now on Saturdays. But I have a passion for baking. I have a passion for people. I work, side by side with one of the best wedding planners in Miami. So that's another fun hobby or passion of mine. And so I kind of have a lot of different things going on. Mm-hmm. I have a podcast releasing on Monday, which I'm excited about. Really exciting. Yes, it's a prayer podcast. Just 5 minutes every single morning, Monday through Friday. And that's pretty much everything in a nutshell, except what have I missed? No, that's pretty much it.
Well, I have actually experienced, I think, every single one of those things. So Alison actually helped with our wedding.
I did. That was fun.
She was day of coordinator, basically running around handling everything. She has baked cookies for our wedding. She baked the cinnamon rolls for our baby shower. So you name it, she's done it for us. She really is. And what I like about Alison is that you really do things in excellence. You said you have a passion for people, and we met at church. So the fact that we met in an environment where serving people is pretty much the priority, and we've worked together in different ministries and we've served together. But I've gotten to know you as a friend, and I've also seen how you serve people. So one exciting thing you mentioned is that you have the blog coming out on Monday, and that's just a prayer blog, a 5-minute prayer blog. What do you want it to be, like the full impact of that? Because I know it goes beyond prayer, but what is it that you envision as a whole for that blog?
So I kind of have a huge vision long term, right? So I want Alice and Elizabeth to be much more than just me. I want it to be a brand that kind of surpasses me. When you think Joanna Gaines, you think home living. When you think of these people who have branded their names, that's kind of been a goal of mine forever. And so, yes, we did meet at church, and I fell head over heels in love with everything that Christianity stands for, which is serving people. And it was in October of last year where and I'll say it, my dreams widened, my to-do list got longer, and devotional time just kept slipping lower and lower on that list. And so if there's one thing, I'm going to brand my name, but everyone's going to know that I have a heart for Christ. And so with that comes this devotional that I started writing, and it was October of 2019. I essentially put up on my Instagram, anybody who wants, a morning devotional emailed to them.
Which I subscribe to.
Yes, you did. Send me your email address. And so I started writing every single day. There were days that I missed. There are days that I foresee missing. Hopefully not, but it just happens, And, but the idea behind it was you have to first set your day with the posture of coming to the realization that I can't do any of this without, first and foremost, without help from Christ, from God. And so that was the idea of the devotional, and that continued to grow. And a couple of people asked me, hey, when are you going to do it in an audio version? I don't have time in the mornings to read. And the truth is that that's why I set it out. I set out to do this because people don't have the time to read scripture daily. And so too many people were asking for it. So I just felt like it was a sign. Okay, the next step is to take this audio. And so the podcast is releasing on Monday. You can find it on Spotify. And then within the next 2 weeks or so, I'm waiting to get approval from Apple and from Google and everyone else. So that's exciting. I mean, really, it's 5 minutes, one scripture verse, a little bit of devotional time, and then a prayer at the end. And the idea is to get you postured so that you can continue to go from there, whether that's journaling, whether that's worship music, whether that's just taking 5 extra minutes beyond that to just sit in silence and just be thankful. And the idea really is we can't achieve our dreams without first coming to our center. So that's why I started that.
I love it because I know that when we met, it was kind of in the beginning of your walk. And, you know, you've gone through some stuff that has really deepened your faith, and that's really important. But obviously everybody's journey is different. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's going to be certain people that are going to hear your podcast and they might not even know if the prayer is working for them. You know, they might be like, God's clearly not listening to me right now. Mm-hmm. So what would you say as an encouragement to somebody like that in that situation?
So do you mean like people who do not believe or people?
Yeah, people who might just be going through a rough time, somebody who's not a believer yet. You know, what would you share with them as a give it a shot situation?
So I like to say that even those who don't believe, you're so welcomed in my space. The brand overall is just so much more than a belief system. It's more of a way of life. And so what I would encourage anyone is just give it a shot. Listen to the scriptures that I'll be highlighting. I really like to tie all my devotionals back into how can this help me achieve my day, whether that's goal-driven, whether that's forgiveness-driven, whether that's love-driven. Every single day we have different obstacles that we have to overcome again. And so just give it a shot. Listen to what I have to say. I say it too. I mean, even if you don't take the actual scripture seriously, at least listen to what it has to, you know, what it means. And then maybe, just maybe, your day will be a little bit better because of it.
I love it. Perfect. Well, one thing that I mentioned a little earlier, and it's the fact that you do multiple things. Yes. So you have quite the full plate. But I know that one thing that really helps you out is the relationships you have in your life. And you have a very strong support system. So I'm sure you get the question all the time, how do you do it? How do you manage so many different fields, so many different ventures, and still get it all done? You know, what kind of support system do you have? Because I'm sure there's people that are trying to start up something similar to what you're doing or just tackle one field, but, you know, just get one done. But the support system is huge.
Yes. So I have to really thank the people I have around me. From my mom, she actually doesn't live here. She lives in Nashville, but we talk every single day, and she has always made it a point to tell me that I can do whatever I set my heart to do. Yeah. So that's, you know, the first and foremost person that I always have to thank. But beyond that, I have 2 sisters. I have a roommate, Stephanie, my 2 sisters, Alexandra and Amanda, and then my boyfriend, Manny. And they all support me. I mean, I'll start to cry if I really think about it. But on Saturday mornings, for instance, with Sequoia, I deliver every single Saturday morning. But I can't do that by myself. So even though on Friday nights I'm baking until 2 o'clock in the morning, and then on Saturday I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to continue to bake, and then when we start delivering, I'm not the only person delivering. At that point, you know, Manny comes in and he delivers for me every single week without fail. My little sister, she washes the dishes for me. Alexandra, she will, you know, deliver for me. Stephanie delivers for me. And so I can't do that without those people. Sarah, she's my best friend, also someone that I can't do any of these ventures without, just because their support is what keeps me going. She's been a huge support with, you know, starting and following through with the podcast. And so everyone has a different role to play in my life. They all see the big picture. People think I'm crazy because of how many different things I have going on. But it's a big picture, right? And so I do want the name to have these different brands. And if you really look at them, although it's a prayer podcast and a baking business and the million other things that I have going on, they all look different, but at the same time, they're not. So they're different, almost lifestyle brands within one compass, which is, who I am and what I'm made of. So to anyone who's trying to start something, just start. Yeah. People are always scared, and I was scared for a long time. I mean, I bought the domain for my so AlisonElizabeth.co.co. I bought that 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's been 7 years of a dream, but it took me 5 years to just launch it. Yeah. And so that website has changed 3 or 4 times, and it's going to change another 45 times from now until the end, just because things evolve, things change. And so if there's one thing that I can tell anyone, is just start. I mean, do you know what was the first recipe Martha Stewart ever baked? No. Of course not.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because she kept going. I mean, obviously, that's like, I like to use her as an example, but she has a tainted name also. Like, for instance, Joanna Gaines. Like, you don't know the first house that she built, and it's because your business evolves and things change. So if you're scared of starting something, just go for it, because what you're going to display today is not going to be your final product. We are all works in progress. Yeah. The person I am today is not going to be the person that I'm going to be in 15 years. So why would my product be the same in 15 years?
Well, I remember when we first were talking about Alison Elizabeth Co., like when you first were trying to figure it all out and what it was going to look like. And of course you had your full-time job. So that was one thing that took a lot of energy and a lot of time. And then you also wanted to do the event coordinating and the baking. But what I like is that you mentioned, the relationships you have and the support that you have really pushes you. Sometimes we get so focused on, it's just not the right time. We're not ready to take that leap. But so what if we fail? So it's still a win. You tried, there's so many different ideas that we might have. And, we've all gone through it. You have one business idea and then it completely changes and it becomes something completely different. But the fact that you have a support system that really pushes you, because what I love about getting the cinnamon rolls is I don't know who's going to come to my door to drop them off. Every time it's like another surprise. I get more excited about who I'm going to see at my front door on a Saturday morning than the cinnamon rolls. Then I remember the cinnamon rolls are really, really good. And then I get extra excited. But it's the fact that, you have such an incredible team of people around you that even on the days that it seems like, forget it, there's no way I can keep doing this, they're still there because they know the value, and you said it, they all play a vital role and it's all different. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important, the people we bring around us, and, you've even changed the way you live your lifestyle. Like, you've taken a whole 180 on healthy lifestyle changes. So what encouraged you so much to do those changes little by little? And I know it's been a process. I know it's not something that you went in one day and just wiped everything out.
No, it's definitely a process. A couple different people played that role. Maury Martinez being one of them. She really inspires me. And I know that she knows that. And so her leadership in plant-based style living, at least with cleaning in the home and with the things that we smell, the products that we put on our skin. So she really inspired that change in me. And that obviously took a lot of time, month over month, of just changing those products. But my sister, Alexandra, she's like the driving force behind the food changes, behind the supplement changes, behind the nutrition, everything that has to do with like my body. Your body's a temple at the end of the day, and I talk about it on my personal platform all of the time. If you've known me, so you've known me for 5 years, if you've known me for 20 years, you'll know that I yo-yoed with weight, and I still, I yo-yo with weight, and it's because I have an unhealthy relationship with food. And so it took coming to the fact that, the products and the food and everything that we use, you have to have the mindset that if it's not providing energy, then it's just garbage. It's a waste of time. And so I bake, and you know that I bake. So it's everything is within moderation, right? So I'll eat a cinnamon roll once a week, but I've learned that I have to rewire what I find, like what's satisfying me. Is it toxic relationships with food, toxic relationships with people, toxic relationships, with products that I'm using, or is it filling a need?
Yeah.
And so
it's funny
process.
because Gio calls himself the donut snob, and
Yes,
he
loves
he'll
donuts.
work out. I don't even know how many times a day, because between training his clients and his workouts and stuff, he's always breaking a sweat. But you know, the donut snob has to try a donut a week at least. And that day it's like, we're going to just go all out. There's donuts, there might be pizza.
Yeah.
But it's all about balance. You know,
definitely about balance.
You can't obsess over something and expect to not lose your mind a little bit at the end of it all.
Right.
So, and I like that you mentioned even the relationships, the relationship with yourself, the way you view things. Like, it's all huge. You know, we're living in a time where social media plays a huge role. And I know part of your job also includes like marketing and working with companies. So it's all about appearance. You know, it's what you see, what you do, what people see, what people think. And I think that it's really crazy how right now, and we've talked about it in a previous episode, social media plays such a role in our happiness, even at times. You know, you're comparing yourself to other people and it becomes unhealthy at that point. So how do you keep a balance between now your changes, your lifestyle changes, working in the marketing field because you're seeing social media constantly, you know, relationships with people. I think that the other day, you know, Gio posted something that I don't remember the exact words, but basically don't get upset with people who couldn't change along the way with you because they had the same opportunity, basically.
Yeah, responded with that with the clapping hands.
Yes, I was clapping with the emoji, with my hands, we were all excited about that one. But, you know, it's true. People, there's different seasons and there's different people that come along those seasons. So what would you think would be a good marker to know, all right, this isn't going to keep working this way. We kind of have to readjust a little bit.
So I think that goes, I mean, that's a critical point in almost every aspect of my life, whether that's people, relationships with people, different business ventures that at one point I'm going to have to say, okay, this is not working for the overall brand. I have to let it go. And I think it's just understanding that that's life, right? Things come and go. Seasons change. Yeah, we live in Miami, so we don't have seasons, but seasons change. And so once we realize that's not, you know, a person will play a role for a year, 2 years, 20 years, 50 years, 6 months. It's okay because that person is going to go on to a second or another season. And so are you. You're going to go on to another season. And so it's just, for me, I try to always bring it back to the center. So if I'm making a checklist and I see that there's one area of my life that's taking a lot of attention away from the overall goal, I have to reassess that, and whether that's just eliminating it completely or limiting it. And you know, if that's social media, you know, I'm notorious for being on my phone way too much. Manny gets mad at me, and I'm like, I'm working. You have to realize that I'm working. But no, actually, sometimes I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling for too long. And so it's just catching yourself. I think that there's good perimeters that different apps can come into play. You can put a lock on your social media. I really do suggest that. And if you catch yourself scrolling and not posting because for instance, let's say you're trying to start a business. If you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and you're not being proactive on your platform, if you're not showing the product that you want to sell or what you're supporting or anything like that, then you're just scrolling to scroll. You're going to become numb after a long time.
Yeah.
Like Susie mentioned, I do work in marketing. I'm a digital marketer. I'm really an account manager. I oversee 35 different companies, their full marketing plans online. We primarily work with their websites and their ads on Google. But I do see their social medias also. And so everything has a chapter, everything has a season. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised if social media saw a whole evolution within the next 20 years. Like, I don't think that Instagram is going to be what's going to sustain us long term.
Well, I don't think it can. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
We're from MySpace.
Exactly. So things changed, things evolved. You cannot just build your presence. You cannot build your brand. You cannot build your product. You cannot build your business on social media alone.
Yeah.
You can't. Again, my clients, we primarily focus on their website, their SEO traction, and their PPC, their paid ads. You know, if you gave me $5,000, we can make $25,000 in return without one social media ad.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? So it's not all on social media. Yeah. And I think that our generation doesn't fully understand that. So if there's anything that you take away from this podcast, take some time away from social media and see how you can make either money, an impact, or anything that you're trying to achieve outside of that avenue. And I promise you that you'll be successful.
Well, it's interesting because we are all very visual. What we see is what we're attracted to. So if it looks nice and we like it, we're going to want it. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Window shopping is the biggest trap because you see everything and then you want more. So it's worse. But, you know, I get caught in the scrolling too. And Gio calls me out all the time. Now that Law and Order is over, I get a little bit more of a break because when we're watching Law and Order, there's no cell phones. Like we have to fully engage in the show. But it's interesting that now, you know, of course, we've been going through this whole COVID craziness and a lot of things got closed down. A lot of people have been affected positively, negatively, mostly negatively because of all of this. But I do think a positive thing about it was that it's made people take a step back.
Yes.
They've spent more time with family, whether they wanted to or not. You're stuck at home with them. So you got a lot of things you got to come in contact with.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you got to address with ourselves. You know, there's so many times that we get caught in the busyness of things that we're constantly going and going and going. And to sit back and say, man, I waste so much time commuting, dealing with things that really aren't benefiting you, but it's part of your daily life, so you deal with it. And now that you've taken a step back, one positive thing that I hope people really stick to after all of this is enjoy the moment. Yeah. We get so caught up in trying to take a picture that we lose focus of the moment. You know, you go to a concert and all you see is cell phones out.
I know, it drives me crazy.
Nobody's even listening. My wedding, Alison made the announcement, unplugged.
Yep.
No cell phones. Because you miss that and you can't get that back. It's crazy. Once time flies by, that's it.
Yeah,
you know, gone. You're not going to get that moment back, and then you can recreate it. You can recreate a picture, but you can't recreate the moment. So I really think that it's incredible. I didn't even know that you can make that much money without even social media being involved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the product that you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
I primarily deal with like home service industries. So you're not looking for a plumber or an HVAC technician on social media, which is why I think it's easier for us to make money for them outside of the platform. But still, I mean, there are people searching for your product. Instagram is not the biggest search engine.
Yeah.
It's not. You actually make more money on Pinterest. So,
wow.
Yes. So there are other avenues. And if you are, you know, looking to start a business, you know, do your research. Look at different people that have paved the way for marketing. And that's obviously the way you're going to make money online. And I think that you know, that is where we're going. Not that I don't think that brick and mortar is going to be, you know, gone tomorrow, because I think that's a huge part of it. But online business is definitely the future. And so you need to be online if you want to start a business, whether that's a website. And yeah, look into Pinterest, look into Google Ads, look into a whole mess of other avenues. If I'm not mistaken, Google's the biggest search engine, and then after that would be YouTube. But Instagram, Twitter, those things, those aren't search engines. Think about it. When you post something on Instagram, in 1 week, someone will never see that again.
Oh, yeah.
Because it floods down your feed. So you guys spend so much time thinking about the one post that you're going to post. And if someone's not following you today, they're not going to see that. I mean, they're going to come back and they'll scroll through your platform, but you're probably not going to get a sale from that from someone who's not currently on there. So you want content that's going to be sustainable long term. So look into search engine optimization, so SEO. Look into Google Ads, and really invest in a nice website.
Well, for sure, I'm going back on this podcast and taking notes. Well, now that we've gone through the business part of it and the health part of it, one thing I know you like to do a lot is traveling.
Yes.
So I want to bring this in for a landing with 3 questions for you. Okay. So the first one is, out of all the places you've traveled to, which was your favorite?
Ireland. I say it. Ireland.
Really?
Ireland was my favorite place. So I've been to a couple different places. London. I've been to Italy. I've been to France. I've been to France. But Ireland was so beautiful. You would never imagine. I had the most fun so I did a New Year's trip we rung in 2017 in Ireland. So
Oh,
it
wow.
was it was the end of 2016. We spent the New Year there. It was me, my sister, and my cousin. We spent the New Year's there, and then we did a whole week of traveling the city and the countryside. The countryside is so beautiful. So
Well, Ireland plays with my heart because I only think of P.S. I love you.
I know,
And I'm
that's
like,
such a-
I can't go through the letters. I can't do all of that.
no,
Too
that's
much.
it's a beautiful place.
Wow. I never thought of Ireland. Okay. Well, now that Ireland's your favorite,
Okay.
where is somewhere that if you can go anywhere in the world in a heartbeat, doesn't matter the cost, doesn't matter anything, where would it be?
Right now, Bali.
Bali. I think Bali's top 5.
My mom went there last year, and her pictures looked amazing. So I want to go there. But that's right now. Next year,
I just like the elephants.
I know
They're so beautiful.
She saw some of them. She did like that famous swing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But next year, I don't know how, I don't know with what money, but I want to go to to Japan, and I want to sit at the opening ceremonies, and I want to see the Summer Olympics.
Wow.
I want to.
Well, I hope you get there.
Thank you.
I know you will.
I hope so.
If anybody can make it happen, you can make that happen. Well, then the last question. Now that we know Bali is where you want to go, who would you take with you?
Obviously, Manny.
He's probably going to be watching this and be like, it better be
Yeah,
after
right.
all of this, after all
Yeah.
my deliveries.
We talk about going to Bali. We talk about going to Japan. He really wants to go to Japan. So
I think if there's anywhere, well, I struggle because I would love to go either South Africa because I want to swim with the sharks, or Australia. Like those two. If I
Australia
can make it
has-
anywhere right now, it would be those two.
they have big bugs. No, thank you. No, just kidding.
I know, but they have koalas too,
Yes,
and they're adorable.
they are.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you've been a huge blessing in my life, but I know this podcast will be an even bigger blessing for many people just because you are an inspiration. You really are. The fact that you have tackled so many different avenues. You are a modern day modest Martha Stewart. I was trying to find a
Thank
word that I can
you.
add to that.
My
But-
goals.
But you've inspired me. You've taught me a lot. But I know that everybody around you is better for knowing you and for having you in their lives. So I appreciate you and I thank you for joining us today.
Thank
It
you
was
for
huge.
having me. You
Of
guys are
course.
a blessing in my life too.
Aw, thanks, girl. And for everybody watching, thank you guys for joining us. I know we're going to have many more exciting episodes, but I hope you enjoyed this one and we will see you soon.